It is about 7 months to the 2023 elections, and the political atmosphere is already gathering steam. Factors like religion, zoning, and the possibility of a third force have already dominated conversations in recent days, just as the regular horse trading and cross carpeting among political parties have begun. Now, some Nigerians believe the recently concluded Ekiti and Osun elections is an indicator of how the general elections will be, though INEC has assured that the 2023 election will be the best the country has witnessed since its return to democracy. Questions have arisen as to if the electoral body can midwife a free, fair, and transparent election. Besides that, the issue of the Muslim ticket has been a source of debate for a lot of Nigerians, whether in the APC or in the PDP or in the LP or other political parties. These are some of the issues we're talking about. Joining us to discuss this from our Abuja studio is APC Chieftain Senator Magnus Abe. Senator Abe, it's good to have you join us now. All right, I understand we lost that connection, but he's in our studio in Abuja. We'll have him on very shortly. Yeah. Now, the issue of the Muslim tickets, Senator Abe was a member of that panel.
Yeah, the subcommittee.
The subcommittee that came up with that. Yes. And it'll be good for him to give us perspective
on what happened in
exactly
the committee.
What happened, how did it happen, and so that Nigerians can have a better understanding of all of this. All right, we have him back now. Senator Magnus Abe, it's good to have you join us this morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Yeah, Senator, you're a member of the subcommittee that recommended the ideas for and parameters for picking the vice presidential nominee for the APC. Can you tell us how that committee worked?
Well, first of all, Sam, let me try and clarify something to the Nigerian people. It wasn't really like a committee set up by Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu to pick a vice presidential candidate. No, that's not correct. What happened was that Bidi Lawal arranged a group of us who were known friends, associates, and members of the Tinubu group before the primaries. And we were meeting as a kind of informal strategy group to review events and prepare notes on some of the situations for our principal. So it wasn't like Asiwaju set up a committee to go and pick a vice president. No, that's not correct. Neither did Asiwaju inaugurate this committee. That's also not correct. So it was a contribution that we were making to the campaign and to his progress and strategy. And of course, naturally, the issue of vice president was one of the priorities that we had to consider. And so we had a subcommittee look into that amongst other issues to make a presentation to the principal. At the end of the day, what we actually discussed in the subcommittee has somehow become an issue in the public. I don't think that is right.
So you're saying that there was no formal committee to look into this issue of who should be the vice president, because the impression given by interviews granted by Babachir Lawal was that there was actually a committee and that he was the head, and they brought recommendations to him, and he had to hand them over to the principal and all of that. Could you please clarify all of that for us?
Like I said, Asiwaju never inaugurated this committee, and he never attended any of the meetings. And Babachi Lawal was the person who actually called us together, and we started the work we were doing. And with that, we were able to create notes with which he, as our chairman, was to brief the principal. Sometimes what we actually discussed in the committee is not exactly what was passed on to the principal. But all that, I think, is now history. I think the important thing for us as a team and as members of the Asiwaju political family is to move forward and put all this needless controversy behind us. But I want to repeat and emphasize that Asiwaju never inaugurated this committee. He never attended the meeting. The committee was called together by Babachi Lawal, and we all attended because of our love for Asiwaju. That's just what happened.
But what do you make of the rumbles now? Is because Mr. Babachi Lawal has been very vocal following the emergence of Shettima, of Kashim Shettima, now as the vice presidential candidate of the APC. What do you make of the loud opposition that Mr. Lawal has made regarding this emergence?
Well, I think that maybe some people who expected to be the vice president did not become the vice president. That is not unusual, that people will feel bad if they don't get exactly what they wanted. But I don't think that the issue should be played around religion. If there were major expectations that people had and they were not able to get those expectations, it's time for everybody to move on. I have said repeatedly, and I want to repeat here, that the idea that the only reason Shettima was picked is because of his religion is childish. There are so many things that went into consideration, and that's why even the subcommittee where Babachi himself, even the committee where Babachi himself was a member, the first name that came up was Shettima, because everybody had an idea of his capacity, his role, his contribution, and his loyalty to what we were doing at that time.
All right. Senator Abe, you mentioned earlier that some of the issues that were discussed at your committee or your meeting level were not the issues that were passed on to Asiwaju. Can you share with Nigerians so that maybe this will help clarify some of these perspectives or these issues?
I think that we should begin to move beyond that point and face the real issues of the elections and the challenges facing the Nigerian people. I think that's what people are interested in. But yes, when the recommendations of the committee were made, what was read back to us as what was passed on to the principal was, to our principal, was totally in many ways different from what we had actually discussed at our meeting, what we brought to the main committee meeting. But before we got to the meeting, a different version has already been passed on to the principal, which reflected the personal biases of individuals. But I don't think that should be something of interest to the Nigerian people. I think what is important is that the presidential candidate has picked a vice president that is totally within his purview and constitutional authority as the candidate of his party. And so I don't think that people trying to second guess him and bring in sentiments in order to, would I say, scandalize his choice are in any way helpful to what we're doing. And particularly that is coming from those who were inside and had a foreknowledge of the likely direction and the reasons for that. I don't think that is fair politics. So, but I think we should put that behind us and let's move forward.
Babachi Lawal said in an interview that Brent came to him with the decisions of the committee, and he sent Brent back, saying that he didn't agree with it. From what you have said, it looks like Babachi was trying to dictate to the committee, or he ignored the committee and passed on something else to the principal. That's the sense I'm getting from what you said.
That's exactly what happened. And I actually briefed the principal that what we had discussed was not exactly what was given to him. So I'm sure he was aware. But that, like I said, all these are now, would I say, mostly not very relevant to where we need to be going to. What we need to be doing now is looking at the numbers and trying to assemble the numbers and getting the Nigerian people to understand where we need to go and why we need to go there. I don't think that Babachi is contributing effectively to that conversation. I think that being a member of the inner team, whatever his issues are, it would have been best sorted out through the very excellent relationship that he enjoys with Masiwaju. That's what I think. But
Right.
bringing it to the public, after all, the committee was never a formal committee, and the committee was not inaugurated by Asiwaju. He never attended the meeting. And so to make it look as if Asiwaju in some way was complicit in whatever committee he had set up, to me, is not presenting the right picture. And it's not a controversy that is desirable at this time.
Looking at the APC's chances, you pointed accurately about the current issues of the day, which is how APC gets the numbers, not just in the north, but across the country. It brings us now to the issue of concerns expressed by some APC members who, seeing the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and former Governor Shettima, they express concerns on how they will be able to sell the tickets of both men in their respective domains, especially the main, Christian strongholds in the north. They said it was going to be rather difficult or challenging for them to sell this ticket. What do you make of that?
Well, I really can't speak for every locality. I can't hear you. Hello?
Senator Abe, carry on. Did you get the
can't hear you.
question?
Not clearly. Can you repeat the question, please?
Talking about the nationwide chances of the APC in garnering the votes needed to be victorious. Some APC members have said it was going to be difficult for them, being in the north as Christians in the north, to sell the joint ticket of Asiwaju Tinubu and former Governor Shettima. What do you make of that?
Well, really, all politics is local, and I don't know what the local situations may be from one locality to the other. But what I know is that the average Nigerian is looking for assurances as to what the future portends. Because whether we like it or not, a lot of families are going through difficult crisis at this moment. I don't think the biggest concern in any family now is the church that Shettima attends. I think what people want to hear about everywhere now is issues about what is going to happen to security, what is going to happen to the economy, how is this going to affect their lives and the lives of their children. Those, I think, are the critical issues that a lot of Nigerians are facing. I don't think that the issue of the vice president being a Christian or a Muslim is the most important issue that Nigerians are facing at this time. After all, the current vice president is a Christian. And if that were to be the most important thing for most people, then we shouldn't be complaining right now. So I don't think the fate of the vice president is the biggest challenge that our country is facing. I do understand that there are a lot of people who may be feeling shortchanged or disturbed or are worried by the level of rhetoric that is going on around this issue. But I think that the responsibility of those who believe in the presidency of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu is to reassure them and explain to them how this presidency will tie into their own hopes and aspirations for the future. I think that is what is critical to those who want to support Asiwaju in this country.
All right, Senator Abe, several persons have reflected on the Ekiti election and the Osun election outcomes and have made different comments regarding using it to mirror how 2023 elections will look like. You monitored both elections in both states, and I wonder what your reflection or your assessment is if people talk about using these two elections to mirror what 2023 election will look like.
Well, let me say this. The Osun election, as I understand it, was between Adeleke and Oyetola, both of whom are sons of Osun State. Those who are claiming that Oyetola lost because of Tinubu, are they also claiming that Adeleke won because of Atiku? That is not the situation. The situation is that whether anybody would like to admit it or not, the perception of most Nigerians on the performance of the APC at this point is not very high. So we have to focus on the fact that every election now, the electorate no longer believes in middlemen. They want to deal with the candidates directly. And they also no longer believe in the marketing of parties. They want to see what the person has to offer and deal with everybody on his own terms. I had said it before, and I want to repeat it here, that those politicians who do not understand that the Nigerian state is changing, that the Nigerian public is changing, that the voters are changing, will be left behind. And that is what is going to happen. So those who are still believing that one person can deliver a state, another person can deliver a local government, are just not aware of the change that has been brought about by the BIFAS machine. Nobody can deliver a unit. The people in my unit can make up their mind to vote for somebody else different from the person that I would want them to vote for. So if I don't have a relationship with them and I've not worked with them to convince them over time that the choice I am making is in their best interest, then the chances are that at the end of the day, I will vote one way and the people in the unit will vote another way. So Nigerian politics has changed. Those who do not understand that will be left behind. What is critical and important now to the Nigerian people is the candidate himself. What have you been able to do with your people? How do your own candidacy tie in with their own hopes and aspirations? So all these middlemen whose only job as politicians is to say, oh, I will deliver my local government, I will deliver here, they may find themselves out of a job because now the people want to deal directly with whoever they are talking to or voting with. So that is the main lesson of the BIFAS machine. And that, I think, is the main lesson of the recent elections that we have had. All politics is local. Like in Rivers State, I had mentioned before that Tinubu will have more votes than APC in Rivers State. And as far as I am concerned, those are the things that count at this time in the politics of this country.
Before we go to Rivers State politics, which will go momentarily, was it true that there was a list that you guys agreed on? I'm not talking of the one that Babashir eventually took to Ashiwaju. There was a list, and Shetima was on top of that list.
I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Senator Abe, can you hear me now? Okay.
All right.
We may need to reconnect.
Yeah, exactly.
Reconnect.
The connection has to go back on, you know.
And he was speaking about, even though Sam still wanted to talk about the earlier point about how the party or how Asiwaju's campaign team eventually, concluded on the former Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima, but eventually we would need to also talk about the APC's chances in Rivers State. I for one, would be very interested.
He's running for governor.
He's running for governor.
Exactly.
He has, of course, said he didn't agree with the emergence of Tonye Cole as the party's candidate. He has, of course, said that he's still in the race, but no one knows where he would run or what he would run under, what party he would run under. And of course, the lingering crisis in the APC now in Rivers State is, of course, very crucial at this point, even as the bigger picture is on the presidential election, where the APC is very much in the race. That would be very interesting.
Recall at the time we had spoken with him during the APC presidential election, primary election in Abuja, and this issue of reconciliation was part of it, because Rivers State is very crucial in the scheme of things when it comes to politics. I understand he's back on now.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Senator Abe, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I was saying that we're going to go to Rivers State politics in a moment, but I want you to tell me what happened. There is a report that you guys had a list that you wanted to present to the principal, although Babachi handed another one to him. That there was a list and that Shettima was on top of that list.
Well, I can't, the line keeps breaking.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
What I heard you say was that there was a list, and that which the committee made, and Shettima handed over a different list.
No. Babachi handed over a different list, and we want to know whether Shettima was on top of that list.
The list that was made in the subcommittee where I was, the first name on that list was Shettima. I can confirm that. So if any other list was handed over that didn't have Shettima as number one, then definitely that was in the list from the committee. Okay. But Babache's name was on that list as well.
Okay. Well, let us go to Rivers politics. I know you want to talk about it. What is the state of your candidacy now with Tonye Cole being presented, and there's a sense that there's a sort of a flux in the politics of APC and the move towards gubernatorial politics in the state?
In fact, let me say this, Sam. With all due respect, I am a part of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu's political family. And I'm also a part of his own family. And that is a very separate thing from the politics of Rivers State. Yesterday, there was some funny letter circulating on the internet that I had resigned from the APC because Asiwaju refused to intervene in the politics of Rivers State. That is ridiculous. All politics is local. I have no interest whatsoever in the APC in Rivers State. I don't even know, when people talk about resignation, how do I resign from the party? I don't even know who the ward chairman is. So I couldn't have written a letter to people that I don't know. What I know from the constitution of the party, of the APC, and the constitution of the country, that there are several means by which you leave the party. And one of the means by which you leave the party is by joining another party. So resignation is just one of the ways that are available to members to leave the party. You can leave by resignation, you can leave by death, you can withdraw your membership, or you join another political party. The way the APC is sinking in Rivers State, it makes no sense for any politician that has serious political interest in the state to remain in the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. So it's clear to anybody who is watching that the future of Rivers politics does not lie with the APC in Rivers State.
So the speculations as to whether indeed you had left the party, some traced it back to your reaction following the emergence of Tonye Cole as the party's governorship candidate, saying that you had declared at some point to newsmen that you were still, vying for the office of governor or to run for governor, but you were not decided at the time as to which party you would run under. So that's on the one hand. So it would be nice if you can clarify that point for us. And then on the other hand, how the crisis or the seeming crisis in the APC in Rivers State could mar the party's chances at the presidential election.
Well, like I said, the voters in this country today are becoming very sophisticated. I don't think that the voters are as dumb as a lot of political leaders would assume that they are. I was just watching the news that you were showing this morning when you were interviewing people on the streets, and you will see clearly that the average Nigerian on the streets has a clear understanding of the political dynamics and the shifting sands of the politics of the country than even some of our political leaders do. They understand the trend of the times. What is happening in Rivers State is that I have no stake in the APC in Rivers State. I don't know anybody that is in the entire executive of the APC in all the 300 and something wards of the state. I don't even know who my ward chairman is. I don't know any ward ex-officio officer of the party. I don't have anybody who is running for any office in the APC in Rivers State that I know, except Asiwaju, who is running as president that I know. So I have absolutely no stake in the party in Rivers State. And all politics, at the end of the day, is local. And so it would be, how would I put it now? It would be irresponsible of me to stay in the APC in Rivers State and support a party in which I have no stake in their victory. So it is clear to everybody who is watching the politics of this country that my future in the politics of Rivers State is not tied to the All Progressives Congress. And so at some point, it is clear that I would not, I'm no longer a member of the APC in Rivers State as far as that goes. But the purported letter flying around wasn't uttered by me, and I know absolutely nothing about it. And it does not reflect my views and my opinions as far as the politics of Rivers State is concerned.
All right. With this now, is this a way of saying that you are leaving the political party, although the letter that went around, that is circulating, it didn't come from you, but your future is not in the political party, in the APC. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that I have no interest in the APC in Rivers State. And so it has been clear to all who have been watching the politics of Rivers State that there is no way I will be part of the charade of what is going on in Rivers State, and that I'd left, in fact, to seek my fortunes or elsewhere. So this whole speculation is really not relevant to the politics of the state at this time, because the APC in Rivers State, as I understand it, is not a ship that is floating very strongly. So a lot of people are no longer on board that ship, including myself.
So where would we put your gubernatorial aspirations now in Rivers State?
Well, Sam, like I said, in the coming days, a lot of things will unfold. But the issue of me and the APC in Rivers State, I think that was decided a long time ago. It has been clear to most Nigerians that, and I've said it severally, that I will not support the APC in Rivers State because I'm not part of it. So I don't know why people are still speculating and writing letters on an issue that I had made public a long time ago, that I'm not part of the APC, as far as Rivers is concerned.
It is really very interesting to see how a political family can come to shreds. This was a political family that consisted of you, consisted of
former Governor
Amechi. It consisted of even the governor now, Wike, and consisted of the former Nemasa man, Kuku. How did everything just scatter? It's still some of the things that concentrates the mind about the politics of Rivers State. This was a tight family that you could see in a particular room, joking and laughing, and eating and drinking pepper soup together. How come you all are in different places at this moment?
Sam, I'm surprised that you, that is our guy, is talking like this.
I'm not your
Remember,
guy.
I was with you in Lagos. Eh?
Eh?
I was with you in Lagos. Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
I was with you in Lagos, Sam. And I sat down with you in the studio in Lagos there, and we went through this entire conversation. So you're very privy to the answers. Yeah? So you're very privy to the answers of the very question that you're asking. The truth of the matter is that the center can no longer hold, and it's to your tent, so Israel. Everybody has gone, according to Babachi. So need to have gone.
But you know the APC had always prided itself as having structure, which is essential for winning elections, and that had even been like some form of pride as against the newer parties, the third force as it's called, who had been argued didn't have the kind of structure needed to win elections on a grand scale as we see in the forthcoming election. So how then will the APC get the needed votes in Rivers State, looking as the party is divided? You're a staunch member of the Asiwaju campaign team, yet your state, in Rivers State, of course, the party is in shambles.
Asiwaju is not the leader of the party in Rivers State, so he has no contribution or subtraction to make to what happens to the party in Rivers State. That is the challenge of the leadership of the party in Rivers State. But I have said it here, and I want to repeat, that structures can no longer win elections because of the BFAS machine and the fact that Nigerians are now free, thanks to President Buhari and the Electoral Act, to cast their vote wherever they please. So if you have a structure and the people are not with you, you will not win. It is better to have the people on your side than to have a structure. At this point in time, what counts is the Nigerian people, the Rivers people, and what they want. That is what counts. And that is what any serious politician should be working on. To win elections now, you need people on your side. And that's what is needed. So if you behave in such a manner that you alienate the people, you disregard their interest, you carry on as if the people don't matter, and the people walk away, the structure is an empty house. And that's what's happening to the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. It is an empty house. And so I am not part of it.
All right. In the coming elections, you and other members of staunch members of the APC in Rivers State will all be working for the same purpose when it comes to the presidential election, at least from what you have said. Of course, we expect Amechi will be working for the same person, Toye Cole as members of the APC, Dakuku Peter side, and even yourself. So although you have said that your future is not in the APC, but all of you will be working for the same person.
Cross, right.
How will... Talk to us basically how that chemistry, exactly, let me borrow that word, how that chemistry is going to work when you are not in agreement with them at the local level, but at the national level, you're working for the same purpose and the same person and the same direction.
The Bible says, "Can two work
Well,
together except they agree?"
I don't understand what you I don't understand what you mean by working together. Every Nigerian has a right to vote for whoever they want to vote for. And if you all exercise that right in a given direction, if you want to, that doesn't mean you're working with anybody. So people are free to vote for who they want to vote for. I have said, and I want to repeat it here, that I have no stake in the APC in Rivers State, and I'm not part of it. In fact, I'd left long ago. So when I come to the national, and before I make my moves in the space, and I talk, they tie me up with that. I just hold my peace. But I'm not part of anything they are doing at that level because I was not involved. It was not inclusive. And everybody in Nigeria who was paying attention to the politics of Rivers State over the past 7 years saw this coming. And so I don't know why anybody will pretend that there's anything happening now that is a surprise. In fact, all through this period, the APC in Rivers State has always insisted that I was not a member of the party. So how is it a problem now if I'm not a member of the party? It was not as if I was needed for anything. So that is the situation. According to one of the boys who are resigning from the party in Rivers State, he wrote to his watcher and said, "My brother, I don't waka." Some are even writing their resignation in their local languages. Everybody is walking off because what is there is not strong enough to sustain anybody's politics outside of the politics of the individual that has put it together in his own interest. So I have left. I'm not part of it.
Okay. Well, Senator Magnus Abe, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. We wish we had a lot of time to, because there's so many other issues we'd like to touch, but we certainly will bring you back again for a rerun of this discussion. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Abe.